Today we're talking about another common habit bottleneck, the chaotic routine. This is a familiar one. I think probably everyone can recognize that feeling of having a really chaotic day and you kind of start feeling like you're the side character in a dramatic play that you just didn't even audition for. Usually at the end of the day, you're exhausted, and even though you may have done a lot of things, you were running from one place to the next and you don't feel like you accomplished anything. I want to encourage you because establishing a routine that works for you, it can be done, and it's less complicated than you think. In this chapter of Productive Introvert Community, we're going to talk about 4 reasons why forcing yourself to stick to the same routine every day and relying too much on discipline isn't the best strategy for everyone. And we're going to look at a few examples to give you some ideas of how you can create a routine that works well for you. Hi, I'm Mariella. I help introverts who work from home to create healthy habits so that they have more energy and improved focus without habits that feel forced or only last 2 weeks. On this podcast, I share the things that I'm researching and what I'm learning on my mission to understand what introverts really need to feel energized and to do the things that are important to them. I'll share with you some of the science behind these ideas and practical tips that might inspire you to live a happier, healthier life. I identified chaotic routine as one of the common habit bottlenecks because I get a lot of questions related to this. A lot of people struggle with feeling chaotic throughout their day. People have asked me things like, I want to learn a new language, or I want to pick up an old or new hobby. But how do I possibly fit that into an already packed schedule? Or my life is so chaotic right now that I feel like I don't have any time for myself. Or from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, I'm just running. I hardly have time to even catch my breath. So some of the people I've spoken to, they have young kids, and planning your day with young kids requires a different approach than how you would do it for just yourself or for a group of adults. Well, most adults. With young kids, buffers and managing your own triggers and energy is really important because young kids have no sense of time and everything is a wonder, right? Which is beautiful. But as an adult, you also have other responsibilities besides caring for your child. As a parent, you're constantly on alert, even when you're sleeping. So that can be very, very tiring. These are challenges that we have here at home too. Our son is 5 now. My partner and I both run our own business. I work full-time in my own business, and my partner works part-time in his business and part-time in an office. We are both introverts and we need a lot of me time, but we recharge in very different ways. So that is a bit of a balancing act sometimes as well between, our individual needs, our son's needs, and our needs as a family, and then of course towards our clients. Even if you don't have kids or you're not caring for anyone other than yourself to that level, every situation has its challenges, right? Let's say you're working from home. This adds its own layers of complexity to the picture because there is no clear division between your work life and your personal life. Everything bleeds over in each other. It's literally the idea of taking your work home with you. On the other hand, working in an office comes with other challenges. Those are typically more around communicating boundaries with colleagues and bosses so that you can set expectations in that way for yourself and for others. Most of my clients work full-time or part-time from home, and for them, feeling chaotic with their day is very common because they're handling work, family, house chores, planning birthday parties, all of the things within the same time windows that they are awake, basically. And it can be hard to come up with a routine that works for you with all those different variables and that allows you to do your work well and be there as well for your loved ones and take care of yourself. There are so many articles about copy this billionaire's daily routine to be successful, or use the routine of this genius to set yourself up for success. Usually, those are usually the catchy titles that I also click on because I'm like, oh, I want to know about that. In theory, you only have to figure out the best routine once and then you're set for life, right? But when you zoom in to the individual routines that people have, including the billionaires and the geniuses from those articles, their routines are very different. There may be some similarities, but in general, I've seen wildly different examples of different routines of people who were very successful in their respected fields and the habits that these people implement, and they're all effective. The issue that I see a lot of people having is that when they try those routines and habits in their own life, they can't make it stick. And that makes them feel like they're failing in some way. I'm not going to tell you that that particular person's routine doesn't work, because clearly it does. The point is, it works for them, and they fine-tuned it to fit in with their lifestyle. And that's often the part that's missing. To show you that you are definitely not alone when it comes to chaotic routines, I'm going to share 2 examples with you from other introverts in the productive introvert community. These were 2 people who contacted me and who had issues with chaotic routine. One person, let's call her Crystal. That's not her real name to protect her privacy. Crystal was working in a family business at the time, and she told me that the days were very unpredictable. She would really like to have a plan for her day, but things would pop up unexpectedly, and she'd have to drop whatever she was doing to solve issues. It happened day in and day out, and it was exhausting and frustrating for her. And then there's the example of Mark, also not his real name. Mark was starting a new business that he was excited about growing. Although he was fairly productive and he was getting things done, he felt nervous about the overall focus of the business. He didn't have time to think about the long-term goals and the vision for the business, and he felt that he was very reactive to whatever was happening in his life and the opportunities that came his way. At the end of the chapter, we'll come back to Crystal and Mark and what I would recommend to them as a first step so that they can feel calmer and more in control of their day and start making progress. Like I mentioned, everyone struggles with this habit bottleneck chaotic routine. But why is it hard for introverts in particular? Most of us learn that for a routine to be effective, you need to stick to the same routine every day. You put in the effort up front to figure out what is the best routine, and then you do these activities ideally in order every day. And you can use time blocking to make this efficient, and you use discipline to force yourself through on the days that you don't feel like doing it. The reason why this is what we're commonly told is because this approach is easy to understand and easy to explain. When I first started working on my own routine, I also thought that I just needed to figure out what the best one was and then stick to it daily. But I don't believe in that anymore, that sticking to the same routine every day, that it really works. At least not for everyone. And I'm going to tell you exactly for who it does work and for who it doesn't, and what you might try instead. So some people have the same routine every day. Other people change the routine very often, and others claim to have no routine at all. So what's the deal with this? Why is having the same routine every day not always effective? I identified 4 reasons why this doesn't work for everyone. Reason number 1, a set routine doesn't really account for lifestyle changes. When things change in your life, it's only natural that your routine will change as well. Things that used to fit well before may no longer fit. Some things may no longer be available to you. Think of moving to a different state or another country, getting a new job, having kids, moving in with someone, getting older, changes in your personal or professional goals, or things like health issues, yours or maybe someone close to you. Thinking that we can always stick to the same routine, even when things change, isn't always feasible. It can even be unfair to expect that of yourself and lead to guilt because it's yet another thing that isn't working. Reason number 2, a set routine doesn't leave a lot of room for natural rhythms. Things like menstrual cycles, energy levels throughout the day or week, even creative processes run on a certain rhythm. This rhythm is personal and it can be different for everyone, but no one is at 100% all the time. I love this quote from Jim Quick. On the days that you only have 40% and you give 40%, you gave 100%. An effective routine has built-in spacers for those days when you have 40% and for the natural fluctuations in your biological and creative rhythms. Reason number three. Reason number three why I don't believe in set routines for everyone anymore is it puts all the eggs in the discipline basket. Discipline is often seen as the holy grail of habits and routines. The idea is to force yourself to do things until it eventually turns into a habit and part of your routine. Discipline is powerful. There's no arguing about that. And it's true. If you repeat something often enough, even if you hate it, it will eventually become a habit, something that you don't consciously think about anymore. But discipline requires a lot of energy. For introverts, managing their energy is key because most introverts lose energy throughout the day. Even if they start out energetic and well rested, they can become tired as the day goes on and they need quiet, solo activities usually to properly recharge. This is very different to how extroverts recharge their batteries, and they usually feel energetic around other people. One isn't better than the other. It just has to do with the way that you naturally process information and solve problems. Everyone can muster up the energy to push themselves to do things for a while if it's important enough to do it. But when introverts do this constantly, they use up a lot of energy resources, and this can often lead to chronic tiredness and even burnout. On top of that, we associate discipline with pain and suffering. A lot of people think, by extension, that learning a habit has to be painful. But that's not true. The easiest habits to learn and the hardest ones to break are the ones that we enjoy, that give us pleasure in some way. Eating delicious foods, doing a hobby that you love, having a conversation with a friend you can really be yourself around, scrolling on social media, smoking, alcohol, drugs. These type of things all play into the pleasure centers of our brain. And we rarely need to force ourselves to learn a habit when it's something that we enjoy. Reason number four. Four. Forcing yourself to stick to a set routine doesn't take into account your natural habit style. Your natural habit style speaks to your core motivational driver when learning a habit. It gives you a guideline of what to focus on so that you can learn habits easily. I've identified 3 different habit styles. Having the same routine every day does work for some people. These people likely have the natural habit style that I call the builder's mortar. Just to give you a mental image, mortar is the stuff, like the cement stuff that holds the bricks together. In the Netherlands, we have a lot of brick houses, and that was the inspiration for this name. It is the stuff that holds the structure together. So this natural habit style thrives on regularity, and a set routine helps them to feel prepared, and it gives them peace of mind. Their core motivational driver is feeling prepared. But there are 2 other habit styles that are rarely talked about. I've called them the painter's palette and the chef's cookbook. For that mental image again, a painter's palette is that piece of either plastic, cardboard thing that you put the paints on, and you can choose which paints to use while you're painting. So the painter's palette, their core motivational driver is play. They need space in their day to play and explore things as they pop up for them. So contrary to the builder, having a set routine doesn't make them feel calm, but it can actually feel stifling and stressful. These are often people that say, structure does not work for me, I never have a routine, and I don't want a routine. The idea of that set routine and that set structure, actually it feels like they're being choked, the creativity is being choked out of them. And that's because there is a big space between what we're taught as the best way to form habits and routines versus the natural style of the painter. And then there's the chef's cookbook. For that mental image, well, this one is pretty self-explanatory. It's a cookbook, right? With all these recipes in, and you can either follow the recipe or you can give your own spin to it. So the chefs, they like routine, but for them, it's really important to know how things connect. Their core motivational driver is maintaining overview. If the routine doesn't build towards a bigger goal, or it's not clear how it supports the other areas of their life, then they're not naturally motivated to stick to it. When they don't leverage their core motivational driver, each style will feel chaotic, overwhelmed, and exhausted. A lot of the time, they'll procrastinate on important things and feel like they wasted time. They might even give up altogether on finding a routine that works for them because they think that it's just not worth the energy or that it's not possible to have a routine that actually makes them feel good. But I want to encourage you, because establishing a routine that works for you, it can be done. And it's less complicated than you think. If you want a bit more information about the 3 habit styles, I have a separate podcast chapter that goes in a bit deeper. Find the link on your screen or in the description. I'll also be coming out with a free training bundle soon that's all about planning your day successfully by using your habit style. If you want to stay updated about that, sign up for the waitlist and I will let you know as soon as that training bundle is out. Let's revisit our friends Crystal and Mark and what we learned about their habit styles and what I would recommend to them to better leverage their natural habit style. In a one-to-one call, Crystal and I discovered together that her natural habit style is the builder's mortar. She thrives on regularity, and her core motivational driver is to feel prepared. Because her days at work were so unpredictable, she was constantly having to shift and put out fires. Even when things went well, she felt exhausted and dissatisfied with her day. A simple change that Crystal could make to her routine is to reserve time in her day to do one thing that she thought was really important to do. Because Crystal is the builder, the activity itself is less important. It's most important for her that she does it in a regular pattern. So reserving a time slot at the same time each day or week. On some days, maybe she didn't have a lot of energy and she only had 5 minutes. And she could do a quick brain dump of her thoughts or send a single email. Other days, she might have an hour. The length of time and what she did exactly, less important. But keeping to the same time each day to get into that regularity and help her to feel prepared for the things that came her way. For Mark, we discovered that his style is the chef's cookbook. His core motivational driver is maintaining overview. Mark was enjoying doing things for his new business, but he felt reactive. While he was doing the day-to-day stuff, he would lose oversight. And not knowing how his actions connected to his long-term view for his business was creating that feeling of chaos. One thing that Mark could try is to ask himself regularly, how does this activity impact my overall goal? For him, the moment in time when he does this is less important. It could be once a day, once a week. It could be 10 times a day. The goal was maintaining overview, so he can check in as often as he needed to have that sense of overview. This would help Mark to keep an eye on all the moving parts, especially in that early stage of starting a business, and to stop being so reactive, but instead being able to make intentional decisions about what to do next. Now you know about the common habit bottleneck chaotic routine. Having a set routine doesn't necessarily work well for everyone, and gaining insight into your natural habit style can guide you on what to focus on so that you can create an effective routine that works for you. Hi, you stayed till the end. I have a special something for you. I am looking for volunteers to give me feedback on 2 pages of text about my new coaching program. The program is called Learn How to Plan Your Day Well so that you get the important things done and still have energy left at the end of the day. At least that's my working title. It may change depending on your feedback, of course. I'm looking for introverts who work from home, either full-time or part-time, who can read the text and send me their feedback. As a thank you, I'm giving you a free 20-minute consultation worth €150. During this free consultation, I will answer your energy and focus question in your specific situation. Just to be clear, your feedback will only be used for market research. And there are no strings attached, so you have no obligation to join this or any of my programs. I've put this call out on LinkedIn and my mailing list, and I wanted to give the dedicated listeners of the podcast an opportunity to reserve a spot in this giveaway also. But the spots are almost filled up, so this will be the only time this year that I will put this call out about the giveaway on the podcast. If you want to reserve a spot, send an email to contact@thefrankermessage.com and include the word feedback in the subject line. All emails received before June 23rd, 2024 at, let's just cut it off at 2300 hours CET, that's 11 p.m. CET. Any emails that I receive before that date will get a spot for a free consultation. So I must receive your email before that deadline, but the call can take place later this year, schedules. I will leave the email address in the show notes. Remember, email feedback to contact@thefrankermessage.com. That's contact@thefrankermessage.com. TheFrankerMessage.com. Maybe I should have chosen a shorter website. Send your email before June 23rd, 2024 at 2300 hours CET, and you will get a free consultation worth 150 euros as a thank you for your feedback on 2 pages of text about my new program. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Talk soon.